Hey, welcome to World Book Day 2026, best day of the year, as you all know. Welcome everyone to this Adobe Express live lesson for World Book Day 2026. I hope you're ready. I hope you've been doing other World Book Day activities. I hope maybe you're even dressed up. Who knows? But either way, this is probably going to be the best thing you do all World Book Day, or, whenever you do it. Okay, right. Let's have a quick look-see at what we're going to do today while we go through some of our golden rules. So, first golden rule, do make sure you have Adobe Express open. That would be useful because we're going to be using it today. Fantastic. Next one is you can pause us whenever you want. If you feel like I'm going a little bit too fast, then you can pause. But I will be taking it very steady. So sometimes I will be slightly ahead, sometimes you will be ahead of me. But if you think that you're too far behind, then absolutely pause. There's not a problem with that whatsoever. We're going to be doing two activities. There's the natural break in the middle if you are one of those schools that finishes really early, like in Northern Ireland, for example. So you can always revisit this another day to finish off. Okay, what other rules have we got? Yeah, if you haven't registered for this session, can't really do it lines like this, and I'm this small. Do go up and register adobe.ly/live lessons because around about 4 o'clock, I'm going to be sending out certificates for all those who take part. So if you need that, please do go there. Activity page for today, it's on the scrolly at the bottom, adobe.ly/WBD World Book Day 2026. It's also on the screen, that side as well. And also, if you're on an iPad, you can use your camera app to scan the QR code. It will take you straight through to this page. Alrighty, let's have a look at what we're going to do today. I love this one. It was all my own idea, which is why it's so good. Right, none of that Mr. Jones rubbish that he brings. Shh, don't tell him I said that. Okay, let's have a look at what we're doing. So if you scroll down, it's going to be all about top trumps. Who doesn't love a bit of top trumps? I love top trumps. What top trumps have I got at the moment? At home, I've got the animals top trumps. I've also got the minions top trumps. I bet some of you got that as well. Anyway, activity one, we're going to be doing a top trump graphic. I loved making this. I played top trumps so much as a kid. That actually making them was really, really good fun. Create a top trump of your favorite book character. Could be someone that you dressed up as, if that's what you've done today in school. Could be that. That's absolutely fine. Could just not be that. Could be someone you're reading at the moment. It could be one that you remember. It could be a bad guy. It could be a villain. Yeah, there's loads of different things that you could do. And I think try and get a variety in the class. You know, some people do villains, some people do heroes, some people do characters that you almost have completely forgotten about. Suggested categories for your top trump. You can change these. That's absolutely not a problem at all. But I've done bravery, intelligence, height, and friendliness. I did height because sometimes that could be like a really good one for getting random characters to, win categories if you're going to play each other. Because you can print these out and play each other. Wouldn't that be fun? Yes, it would. Right, activity 2 is then going to be taking that and making it into a video, explaining your choices and scores on your top trump. So let's get on with the first activity. I am looking forward to this. So let me go to Express. Here we go. Here's Express. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to create a poster. Now, one of the things that I am assuming, let me just get rid of some of these. Bosh. One of the things that I'm assuming is that you probably, have already thought like that of a character that you're going to do. People can help you with helping you to remember things about that character. Maybe you've got a specific one that you're doing as a whole class. Who knows? Or maybe it's just a book that you're studying in class at the moment. But here at the top, I'm going to change. I'm going to change the top trump live lesson. Let's do that. Okay, you can just call it top trump. That's absolutely fine. Or your character name, whatever. Okay, so you need to have thought of your character. And the character I'm going to do is Danny, Champion of the World. Danny, the champion of the world. I always forget out the. Always leave it out. Danny, the champion of the world. I loved that book. I read it again a few years ago, and I loved it even more. So I'm going to do that one now. When I read that book, it kind of had like a rusty red dust jacket on it, like a cover to it, because it was kind of autumnal pictures of the dad walking through the wood with Danny. So if you're on an iPad, you'll be able to change your background color because you'll have a ribbon across the top, and it will show you exactly where you can click and change the color of your background. On the browser, which I'm using, edit page, your background color is here. So on iPad, it's near the top here, and on the browser, you click edit page, go to background, click color, and then I'm going to choose, I think, this one here. Yeah, cool. Looks great. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is, and this is because I feel like this is really common on Top Trumps cards, is I'm going to go to add content. Now, if you're on the iPad, you'll have elements down the left-hand side, like immediately, instead of having to use this kind of fly out menu. Whoops, that fly out menu there. But I'm going to go to elements. I'm going to go to shapes, and I'm going to go to rectangles. A square is a rectangle, of course. You all knew that. I knew you knew it. Right, I'm going to click on it. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to make it into a border. And the way you make this into a border is really nice and simple. First thing I'm going to do is kind of make it roughly the kind of size I'm looking for. Something like this. And then I can use the long handles. Boom. Nice. Now, what I want on this is a border. So I'm going to go for this kind of yellowy, mustard yellow border here. And for the fill color, I'm going to go for nothing. Now, I've done that. I can't see anything. Why is that? Because I need to increase the border thickness. Aha, there we go. Nice. So I've increased the border thickness, but also because I think that this is something that I had on all my Top Trumps cards when I was a kid, I'm going to do the corner roundness as well. Look at that. Beautiful. Yeah, around about there. Looks great. That makes me think that it looks like a real card, which is exactly what we're going for here. So what have we done so far? We've done the rectangle like this, and we've done our background. Let me use the back button at the top to get it right in position. Beautiful. So now that that is set, what are we going to do next? Well, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add text. So I'm going to go to T for text on the left-hand side, give it a click. Okay, now I'll just go to add your text, and I'll put Danny, the champion of the world. Okay, now, first thing I'm going to do, you probably all know it already. I always do it, don't I? Text layouts on the left-hand side here. Give that a click. Go to dynamic, of course. Woo. So I'm going to put that up there. I'm going to put it roughly in the middle. Now, it needs to be at the top, of course. But also, I want to do a different type of font. So I'm going to click the fonts down there. Now, recent font I used is this one, Copal Standard Outline, it's saying Copal. If you just search for Copal, you'll probably find it. But choose whichever one you want. But I'm looking for something chunky. Now, within Copal, there are different types of fonts in here. I'm looking for the solid font. Okay, nice. Now, the black on here doesn't work for me. So I'll click text color and I'll go white. And then for the outline, I'll go black. Nice, that works. Now, you can do, you choose whatever font is good for you. You can choose whatever color is good for you. But the thing that you've got to always think about is it readable? That's the main thing. Is it readable? So let's, this Copal one is readable when the letters are big. I'm going to bring the outline thickness up a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. I can maybe afford to make this a little bit bigger. You can play around with where this sits. So I could go Danny, the champion of the world. And you do that by putting your cursor next to somewhere and then pressing enter or return. But I think here, this is going to be the best way for it to work. Okay, Danny, the champion of the world. Cool. Right, what are we going to do next? Well, what we're going to do next is create this kind of, what are we going to do? We're going to create like a circle for a picture of Danny to go in the middle, right? So I'm going to go to add content again, or if you're on an iPad, just go straight down to elements. And this time shapes. Yeah, I want a circle, right? So I'm going to go to view all in circle. And rather than having to make the border, I'll get one that's already got a border. So this one here, click, boom. Oh, that's interesting. It's giving me a couple of colors which it thinks I might like. Don't mind it, actually. Yeah. Let me think. Maybe I'll go, what am I going to do here? I think, actually, I'll go fill color black. Am I going to go fill color black? No, I'll go fill color yellow. Yeah. And then maybe my border will be black. Yeah, that'll do. That's fine. Right, border thickness, bring that up a bit, something like there. Okay, nice. Now, if I bring this up a bit, you can see that it's kind of blocking the text. Why is that? It's because in our layer stack on the right-hand side, it's at the top. So if I just bring it underneath the text, Danny, the champion of the world, then it can just hide itself just a tiny little bit under there. That's cool. And I roughly want to make it so that it hits the edges of the text. Cool. I'll stick it around about there. I think actually it's too big. Maybe I'll bring the border down to 150. Yeah, that's a bit better. Just want to make it tuck under that text there. Okay. So next thing I really want to do is I want to get a picture of Danny, the champion of the world. Right. How am I going to do this? Because if I go to add content, media, if you're on an iPad, you go straight to media. If I go to photos, and if I searched for Danny, the champion of the world, it would not come up. And you know why it wouldn't come up? Because that is a copyrighted image, right? That's why it won't come up in a stock library like you'll typically get in Adobe Express. So you've got a couple of options here. Let me just show you. I'll share this tab here. Right. So in here, you've got all sorts of different pictures of Danny, the champion of the world. You got some from the film, like this one, for example. You've got ones from the book. Now, that was illustrated by Quentin Blake, the legend that is Quentin Blake. And I think I'm going to use that in order to create an AI-generated image of Danny. This is where it's going to get fun. Okay, so with media open, with photos selected, I'm going to go to this button here, generate image. Cool. I'll go for a square, because with that square, I can then crop it into a circle and it'll be nicely proportioned. So I'll go for a square. I'll make this bigger just so that we can see what it's going to be when they kick out some results. There you go. And describe what you'd like to see. Okay. Let's have a quick look back here again. Okay, so I'm going to say young boy, a 10-year-old boy with blonde hair, with messy blonde hair, wearing a red jumper and blue jeans with his arms in the air, something like that. Okay, so over here, I just go boy with, oh, let's go capital letter before I get into trouble. Boy with short blonde hair, short blonde messy hair, with his arms raised in the air. He is wearing a red jumper and blue jeans. Maybe I'll put smiling boy. Better spell it right. So Take a little bit of time with this. Take a little bit of time with your prompt. You don't want to make it too long, but you do want to think about the character in the book, whichever one you've decided. Maybe you've got a visual of that person. Maybe you actually need to explore the text to try and work out what kind of things that you should be searching for. Now, what I'm going to do is maybe at the end of it, I'm going to put line drawing, because if you look here, that is the style that Quentin Blake does. He does a line drawing and then he colors it in. So let's go back here, and then content type art is good, and then click generate. Let's see what we get. Now, I think ideally I should probably have put like just one last sentence which said white background, because I'm going to remove the background on this, but I'm not too concerned. Hey, that's cool. That's nice. You know what I'm going to change in here? I like this, but I'm just going to put sketch of a smiling boy. That's a sketch of a line drawing. Yeah, I'm going to put sketch in there and see if it makes any difference. I kind of want a much more sketchy feel than this. Looks kind of cartoony to me, and I want more of a sketch, which would be like, you know, real rough kind of pencil. Yeah, it hasn't made much difference. So anyway, that will do, I think, for me. This one is the one I'm going to go for. So, do you know what? Let me just explore in here. Techniques. What have we got? Pencil drawing. That might work well. Pencil drawing or line drawing, or maybe even doodle would be a good one. I think doodle would be good. Let me try one more time to see whether this is gonna... Maybe line drawing is the thing that's sending it off. We shall see. The tension is palpable. Ooh, interesting. Okay. That's pretty cool. Don't know what all these random sketches are. What are they all about? Okay. Actually, you know what? I really like that one. That is so random the way it's put these sketches in. But anyway, I'll do that, right? So in order to commit that, I'm going to click in the gray and then click on it again. And then I'll remove background. And hopefully all of this nonsense will come off. No, it didn't. Right. What I'm going to do here then is I'm going to go to, I'll go to erase. I'll make the size bigger, maybe maximum, and I'll change the brush to circle brush. Ooh, I'll need to change the size again there. Let's get rid of all of this. This is a bad prompt from me, if I'm honest. You should definitely try and do better prompts than me. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to go this way. And also, it's good for you to see, you know, sometimes it doesn't always work. Right, that's pretty good. And then maybe I'll go to quick selection and maybe try and select all the white. This is another way that you can kind of remove backgroundy stuff without actually, if you select remove background and it doesn't work, then if you use the eraser, but then have quick selection marked, then it will select all similar colors. And you can, yeah, you see, this is kind of like how people use Photoshop, I suppose. And then at the top here, get rid of that bit. Ooh, now you see, I'm going to have to go to restore. Maybe come down here, restore these bits, restore the finger. There you go. And then circle brush. I'm going to bring it right down. Try and get rid of some of this white. And maybe I'll go to quick selection. And then erase. Sorry, yes, I need to go to erase. Just trying to get it to stop. Let's go back and back. Maybe bring the size down even less. There we go. If you bring the size down much more, you can get rid of some of the tiny little details in there. Maybe I'll go to 5. you see, this works quite nicely. Oops, went too far. There we go. So it wasn't quite as quick as I was hoping there, if I'm honest. I don't know whether my prompt wasn't the best one, actually. I've done this before, but I think putting a sketch in there and then putting line drawing there and then selecting doodle probably didn't help. But anyway, Danny, champion of the world, there he is. Don't mind that he's going to be just slightly kind of overlapping stuff here, like the text on the top and things like that. That's pretty cool. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the crop button just up here. Crop it to a circle. Then think about now what I want to do is I want to crop him down a little bit. Oh, maybe even crop him. You got to be careful with these. Let's crop it there. Crop circle again. Oh, it hasn't given me much of a circle, has it? Oh, I see. You can't quite see the circle, that's why. Let's go to done. Bring it down. You see, this is not what I was planning. Right. Let's go back and back and back and back and back. Right. Crop it to a circle. Let's just say done. And then double click it and then bring it into the circle. There you go. Something like there. Okay. Because really what I want is I want kind of the bottom of his jeans to kind of sit on the edge of the circle like that. Something like that. There we go. That'll do. I can also make him a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Danny, champion of the world. Okay. That'll do. Round about there. Nice. Danny, champion of the world. Okay. Now, the next section I want to do here is just have a little paragraph on what Danny is all about. Just a little sentence or two, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to T for text, add your text. Now it's given me that font that I had before. I don't want that one. I actually want, what do I want? Recent. Allegria, that's the good one. Allegria, I thought that was good for this one. Right, so I changed the text and then I've actually got it handy, all right? You might want to spend a few minutes doing this, but I've got Danny, a young English boy. Let me put an outline color on this. There we go. That's making it more readable. Outline thickness, better. Make sure I've got the right spaces in here. There we go. So I've changed that to Allegria. I've made it black italic. Text color is black, but I've done an outline color of white. I beefed that up a little bit, could beef it up a bit more. And then also go to text layouts and dynamic. And that means that I want to make sure that this bit of writing sits across there. Put it right slap bang in the middle. Where are we? There. Okay, cool. Now, if you're struggling to get it in the middle, I mean, that does work. You can see the pink line just on Danny's face there. You can also go to position and do like center. There we go. Now that I've put that there, I think the outline thickness needs to be much heavier. And also, you can see with dynamic text here, oops, let me zoom in. You can see with the dynamic text here that Father William is kind of sticking out right in the middle. Now, I don't need that. So what I'm going to do is going to put my cursor next to and press return. Nice. Live in a traditional caravan. They fix cars. Now, this line here, there's quite a lot of words on that line. So what I'll do, I think, is I'll just force this onto different lines, I think. Let's see if we can. Yeah, that one didn't work. Sometimes you have to play around with this a little bit. Maybe I'll do it there. No, that one wasn't so good. maybe there. That's better. That's good. I'm happy with that. That'll do. And then I'm just going to make sure that that pops in there. Just gives a little bit of context about who Danny is, what he's about on your top trump, which is quite a common thing for top trumps to have. Okay, now that we've done that, it's time for us to, just seeing the time, it's time for us to put our scores in. Okay, now you can see just at the bottom here, I've got a little table in here, and these were my 4 categories. Now you are welcome to choose your own categories. I would say if you're going to sort of do this as a class, I would say everyone has the same categories, because then you can play top trumps with each other, which is really good fun. I used to do it when I was teaching. I used to do that with the kids all the time with all sorts of stuff. I used to use top trumps all the time, where they'd make their own, whether it was for science or history. So you've got 4, or I've chosen 4 categories here. So let's have a look at how we might put those in. I'm going to go to add content, charts and grids. On an iPad, you'll be able to go to charts and grids immediately. Here we go. It'll be down on your left-hand side here. Now, you can see you've got a whole section called tables. Let's go tables, view all. Now, this is the one you want, the most boring one in the bottom right. Bosh. Now, what you need here is you need, well, I've got 4 categories, so I need 4 rows, but only 2 columns, right? So I'm going to double click in one of these boxes, and I'm just going to right click, delete column. Click in one of the boxes, right click, delete column. Right, got 2 now, perfect. I'll stick that there. I'll stick that there. So that is really nicely centered, actually. Yeah, there we go. That is, where's center? There's center. Okay, cool. Now, I don't need the bottom row. Click in the box, right click it, delete row. So now I've got 4 and 4. Okay. Now the scores inevitably will be smaller. The scores are going to go down the right side. The text is going to go down the left side. So here I'm going to go bravery, intelligence, height, and the last one was friendliness. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just put my scores in first, and then we'll start playing around with how this table looks. Okay, I think maybe we can make it a bit smaller. There we go, a bit smaller again. Nice. Pop it down here. Okay, cool. We'll play around with things like spacing and stuff as and when we need. Right, I've got my table in now. So I'm going to give him, let's go 9 for bravery, 8 for intelligence. I'm doing mine out of 10. Now, height. This is an interesting one. So I looked up the average height of a 10-year-old boy. I think he's 9 or 10. I can't remember. But it's roughly about 135 centimeters. Friendliness. Now, Danny, what a legend. If he was here, he'd be my Bezzy mate. So I'm going to give him 10 out of 10 for friendliness. I think he's a friendly dude. Right. Now that I've done that, I'm going to select my text box by going to the kind of the 4 arrows there. And then I can change all things like my font. I'm going to make it Allegria, like the one above. There we go. That's looking better. I'm going to go to size. Now I'm going to make this as big as it possibly can before it starts changing the size of the box. So it's roughly about 55. Great. Alignment. You could centrally align. Yeah, central. Yeah, fine. I'll do that. That's good. Now, fill colors. You have a choice here, right? You could go fill colors and just choose one fill color for the whole box. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to choose, I'll choose fill color for the whole box first, but then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into individual cells and then change those colors. And I'll do it kind of so that there's a bit of a pattern. There we go. And this last one, bit of a pattern. Nice. I'm just going to zoom out. What does that look like? That looks banging. Look at that. I'm really into that. It's great. I think I might want to move this box up ever so slightly. Make sure it's in the middle. Yeah. That looks good to me. Don't mind moving this up a bit as well. There we go. Maybe I need to, Danny Champion of the World, maybe I need to make it outline things a bit chunkier. Just so it's a little bit more like that kind of circle border that we've got, like nice and chunky. That's great. There we go. That's how you make a top trump. Look at that. Bet my top trump would beat yours. Bet you it would. Right. That's pretty good timing. I'm happy with that. Now, what are we going to do with this? Well, if you want to download it, the download button is there. You can, if you're going to print it out, because you're going to play each other in top trumps, PDF print is a good one. And you can also click share, and you can go, I don't know why it's saying I'm offline. Of course, I'm on the internet. Go to view only link, and then you can create a link and send that to whoever you like. Now, don't forget, you can do things in here like, change the color of the fonts and stuff like that, but I don't know. I don't think you probably want to do that. I think you want to keep it there. But, it's very easy to change things like background colors. That does give it a completely different vibe, I think. That's quite good, isn't it? Quite like that one, actually. That one's good. Yeah, the purple seems to work with the orange and the yellow. But you have also got these gradients down here. Actually, that is well cool. Not as good. Not even nearly as good. This one, yeah, I love that. That is great. Danny, the champion of the world. That's his top trump. Easy to do that, isn't it? If you want to add in like an extra category or whatever, then that's absolutely fine. You can click anywhere in there and then go to add a row. So a row, and then it will go on there. But you just have to be mindful that you'd have to have the space for that. Right. So you might need to start playing around with, all of these different types of things here, and where they sit. Maybe like, I don't know, something like speed. I don't know if Danny's that fast. I'll give him a 6. There you go. Now, when you do yours, don't give everyone like top marks. Otherwise, no one will ever beat anyone. You've got to have a system somehow. Be truthful to the story. Okay, right. Now that that's done, let's have a quick look at what we're going to do for activity 2. So, we've done our activity 1 top trump graphic, which means that now we're going to be moving on. I'm going to do a bit of video editing. I love doing this. It makes it such an easy way to do things. So we're going to make a video explaining your choices and your scores on your top trump. All right. So we're going to use information from the book or about your character to explain your choices, talk about events or actions that have influenced your scores on your top trump. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, so this is my top trump. I made it. It looks beautiful. But if I go down to the bottom right here, you can see down to the bottom right, you can go to page actions and you can go to duplicate. All right. So you've got number 1 and number 2. You can see them down here. Now they're exactly the same. They're exactly the same. But that's fine. Because what we're going to do is we are going to change one of these into a video. And the way we do that is by going to the 3 little dots where you can see it says page actions. And then here you go, edit timeline. Nice. Now this is now a fully fledged video. We can do all sorts of things on here. We're going to use Gen AI. We're going to use voiceover. What else are we going to do? We're going to use Gen AI. We're going to use voiceover. We're going to use self-record. We're going to put a soundtrack on there. We're going to do some transitions, all of that good stuff. Okay. So let's have a look at how we're going to start. So the first thing I'm probably going to do is extend this clip out. because it doesn't matter, 20 seconds is absolutely fine. It doesn't matter. Because what I want to do is bring my playhead back to the start. And then I'm going to add some audio. So what am I going to say here? I'm going to say something like, for World Book Day 2026, I chose the character from Danny. I chose main character, Danny, from Danny, the Champion of the World. Danny, a young English boy, and his father, William, live in a traditional caravan. They fix cars for a living in their mechanic shop and love to poach pheasants. You can just read what's on the screen. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's go to add audio here. And then you've got record voiceover. So let's record voiceover. Microphone, I've got one, a separate microphone. Now, if you're in a busy classroom, which of course you all are, then do use this enhance speech button. Use this enhance speech button. This is very, very useful for you because it will take out all of the noise of everyone else recording. It'll take out all the noise, the background noise, shouting, screaming, whatever it is. But make sure your playhead is at the start. Click start recording. I made a top jump about Danny, the champion of the world. Danny's a young English boy and his father, William, and they live in a traditional caravan. They fix cars for a living in their mechanic shop and love to poach pheasants. There we go. Now you can see down the bottom here, it says enhancing speech. Beautiful. That means it's going to take out any kind of fluff, nonsense, noise behind you, and then it's going to make it very, very professional sounding. So let's have a little listen. Yeah, that's cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the edge of my clip just so it's just past the voiceover there. Just so it's just past the voiceover. Nice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to well, I was going to add media, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to the three little dots that you can see on this first scene. Click it there. And I'm going to go to duplicate. Okay, let me show you exactly why I'm going to do that. But before I do, just let me remove and stop sharing because it did give me a notification that it had lost my audio. I don't know whether it had lost audio for you, but I'm going to reshare anyway. Okay, cool. Let's go back here, add to stage. Cool. All right, nice. Okay, so we're back on where we were before. Nice. Seems to be double sharing for me. Anyway, it doesn't make any difference to me. Right, so we've duplicated that first scene. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start getting rid of things we don't need. Right. First thing we don't need is a picture of Danny. Click it, delete it. We don't need the text in the middle. Click it, delete it. We don't need the table, but let me just leave it there for now, because what I'm going to do with each of these scenes is explain, like bravery 9. Why did I give him bravery 9? Okay, so at the top, instead of Danny, champion of the world, I'm going to triple click in there. I'm going to write bravery. Okay. And I'll put it right in the middle there. Nice. Then I've just got to remember that it was bravery 9. Okay, so let me click the box here. Let me click on the 4 arrow there, 3 dots, and then delete table. Cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find an icon for bravery. I'm going to go to add content elements. If you're on an iPad, just go straight to elements. I'll back out of that. And I want to go over here to icons. I mean, it doesn't have to be icons. You could go to all and just put like brave in there, see what you get. You'll get, I just think icons is probably usually the best place. Design assets can give you some really random results sometimes. Yeah. So I think icons is probably the best place for you to go. This one, could do a superhero one. I kind of like This one. Yeah, nice. Right, bravery. So I'm going to bring that down. It shouldn't be so big. I don't know why I made it so big. Around about there and one. There we go, bravery. So there we go. We got a fist with a flame for kind of represent bravery. And then with bravery, I'm going to go to duplicate. And all I want to do there is just put 9 in, all right? And then I'm going to sit it down next to my icon here. Round about there is good. Okay, so bravery 9. But what are we going to put in this circle in the middle? Well, I'm going in that circle in the middle. I'll show you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to add content, media, and I'm going to go to videos, and I'm going to go to record yourself. Record yourself. Click that. Okay, hi. What I'm going to do here is going to explain why I gave him a 9 for bravery. And one of the reasons I gave him 9 for bravery is because he does many, many courageous things throughout the book for a boy who is still quite young, right? That's what I'm going to say, something like that. So I'm going to go start recording. I gave Danny a 9 for bravery because throughout the book, he does things which are incredibly courageous for a boy his age. There we go. Stop recording, save recording, gone in there. Okay, so it's going to process the media here. That's good. Now, while it's doing that, what I think I'll do is I will go to the crop button. There it is, the processed. I'll go to shape and the circle. I'll just say done. And then I'm going to stretch it out. Maybe I could leave a little band of yellow around there, something like that. Go to position. Go to center vertically there. That's nice. Just needs bringing down ever so slightly. There we go. You can see the crosshairs. That's telling me it's right in the middle. Nice. And then I can give that a play. I gave Danny a 9 for bravery because throughout the book, he does things which are incredibly courageous for a boy his age. There we go. Nice. You do better than me if you actually said what those things are. But I don't want to give you any ideas, you see. Now, here I could remove background if I wanted to. You might want to do that in your classroom, but I've got this kind of virtual color thing that my computer puts on, which I'm kind of liking at the moment. And it actually suits the purple. So if you want to, remove the background. Otherwise, I'm definitely going to click Enhance Speech. You will definitely want to do that in the classroom itself. Okay? Right. That's my first category done. So enhanced speech has been applied. Great. So what's the next category? The next category is intelligence. I gave him 8. So what I will have to do here, you see, now that I've done one, is I can go to the 3 dots and go to duplicate, right? And all I have to do now is change. So this one is intelligence. Now, because I selected dynamic layout in my texts here, you can see that it started to shrink it down so that it wouldn't have to spill over that box. Okay, that's great. So intelligence, I gave him 8. Okay, and then I go to my icon. Now, for whatever reason, and I don't really understand it if I'm honest, you can't replace an icon. You can just delete it and go and find another one. So let's go and find another one. Add content, elements. Here, intelligence. You could put that in there and it gives you brains. Oh, nice. I quite like that actually, yeah. That one's cool. That one, I like that one. And it's automatically giving me these icons in black, which is fine for me. I'm up for that. Don't mind that at all. Round about there. Maybe a tiny bit smaller, something like that. Okay. Now, obviously, this recording now is the one for bravery. I don't need that one anymore. So it does say replace. Yeah, you don't need that. Just delete it. Okay. And then go back to media, videos, record yourself, start recording. For intelligence, I gave Danny 8. That plan to poach those pheasants was all his idea. Incredible. There you go. I don't know if you remember from Danny the Champion of the World, if you've read it, but he uses the sleeping pills inside of raisins in order to poach the pheasants. Chef's kiss. Okay, so while that is processing, I'll go to crop it into a circle, just say done. And then in the last one, I left a little kind of yellow border kind of ring around there, stick it in there. Cool, that's nice. And don't forget, I also want to enhance the speech as well. You might want to remove the background. I definitely want to enhance the speech. So that might take a little bit of time, in which case, all I need to do is go to one that has processed. Oh, there you go. I think it's gone through now. Still processing the video element. But let me go to here. I'll duplicate this one. And all I'll need to do here is click, hold, and drag it to the end. Just so I can leave this one to process. It seems to be taking forever. Oh, there we go. Back on now. And then this third one is height, 135 centimeters. Okay. So change bravery to height. Now, this could be bigger. There we go. Now, height. This is going to be 135. Oh, click, double click, 135 cms. Now, I'm going to force this. How can I force this to go into two lines? There we go. Force it onto two lines. Why has that suddenly got a border on it? How very strange. Outline thickness. Bring that right down. Something like this. Yeah, okay, cool. And then, 135. It actually looks like 130S, doesn't it? Which is a bit concerning. But this icon is no good. So what would I use for a height icon? Ooh, let me go and get that first. So I'm going to add content, icons, and then go to height. What am I going to get for height? Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I can use this. Something like that. That's good. I was going to put like a tape measure in there. But actually, I think this is better. That's pretty cool. Like that. Nice. So one thing I have noticed, and this might be the case for you, you see the way on my last video, my self-recorded video is in front of my text. Let me go and fix that. Where is it? Bravery, intelligence, height. Well, actually, don't need to fix it because this one, I'm going to delete it. Okay, so I need to add content, media, and videos and record myself. Now, on this one, I didn't know what his height was. How old is Danny? Is he 9 or 10? Danny, champion of the world, age 9 years old. Yeah, I thought it was 9. Right. So what I'm going to say is, we don't know from the book exactly how tall Danny is, but the average height of a 9-year-old in the UK is 135 centimeters. So I've used that. So that's one of the things that I said. Explain your choices. Let's go start recording. We didn't actually know the height of Danny from the book, but he's 9 years old, and the average height of a 9-year-old in the UK is 135 centimeters. So I've used that. There we go. Save recording. Again, you go through that process of cropping to a circle. That's great. Done. What else do I need to do? I need to enhance the media, enhance speech, sorry. I'll need to kind of put this in roughly the right place. Around about here. Around about here. Okay, but you can see that because height is much bigger in terms of font size, is that you'll want to bring your video underneath height in the layer stack. So it just pops in behind there. I think this could be slightly bigger as well. There we go, something like that. Nice. Okay, let's click on that video. Enhanced speech is on. That's great. Let's have a little play to see what's going on in this video then. Let's have a little play. Okay. I made a top jump about Danny, the champion of the world. Danny's a young English boy and his father, William, and they live in a traditional caravan. They fix cars for a living in their mechanic shop and love to poach pheasants. Okay. I gave Danny a 9 for bravery because throughout the book, he does things which are incredibly courageous for a boy his age. For intelligence, I gave Danny 8. That plan to poach those pheasants was all his idea. Incredible. We didn't actually know the height of Danny from the book, but he's 9 years old, and the average height of a 9-year-old in the UK is 135 centimeters. So I've used that. Okay, one thing that you might need to do, and I'm thinking that I might need to do it on here, is my video is slightly off to the left here. So if I double click my video, then I can just nudge myself back onto center there. That's cool. Okay, one more to do here. So duplicate the scene. And the last one is, completely forgot. Oh, I put friendliness. That speed one, I'm not going to do that now because I just kind of added that in myself. So let's do friendliness. So in here, I can just go friendliness. Okay. And then I gave him a full 10 out of 10. I think he's a ledge. And then this icon I'm going to delete. And then I can add content, elements, icons, friend, something like that. Something quite simple. This one's cool. Yeah, just keep it nice and simple. There we go. Bring that down a bit. Yeah, that's perfect. Maybe bring this text slightly down a bit. I think it needs to sit about there. Yeah, that's good. And then my last voiceover here. Now, if you're on the browser, you might want to go to add content, videos, put an animated character in there. Why not? Let's go to, or you can do this on the iPad. I've shown it on other live lessons before. You just need to open a new project, record it, and then copy and bring it across. I think, yeah, let's go Kurt. Love a bit of Kurt. Do I love a bit of Kurt? And sometimes I feel because Kurt's only got half a body, it's sort of, I don't know, it's like, is he floating? Never really sure. What about Jake? Jake's only got half a body as well. Quan. This guy, I never used this guy before. Cool, let's do this. Right, the only thing with when you use animate characters is you cannot see what you're animating on. So this one's friendliness 10. So I'll put enhanced speech. Oh no, I won't put enhanced speech on. You will need to. I'm going to do it for speed. Record. Finally, for friendliness, I gave Danny 10 out of 10. If he was here now with me and him would be best buddies. There we go. Right, so because I've put this on a transparent background, you can go to the background section and make sure you've got those tiny little squares which say transparent next to it. It means that I'll be able to plop it straight into my video. I'll probably crop it so that it sits in that circle as well. But what it's doing now is it's listening to my voice, lip syncing, moving the arms depending on when and what I'm saying. And then it's going to kick out a beautiful animated character, which I can just pop in there. Nice. Now, the good thing about cropping it, you see, is that if I bring this right down, put it around about there, and then go crop, circle, done. Why isn't it cropped to the circle? Come on. There we go. You see, something funny is going on with the circle crop here, I think. Let me put it around about there. And then, yeah, there's something funny going on with the circle crop, actually. Let me try and crop again. Bring this right down. Something around about there. Put it in the middle. That'll do. there's a little bit of funniness going on with the preview with the circle crop for whatever reason. I shall go and get it fixed. Bring that down, and then let's have a little play ski. Maybe bring him into the middle. Around about there. Finally, for friendliness, I gave Danny 10 out of 10. If he was here now with me and him would be best buddies. Nice. So whenever we've finished off like the different scenes of our video, let me just go back and just take speed out. I don't want that. I'll delete that whole row. There we go. Just want to make sure that this is a nice, beautiful, finished video. Okay. What I'm going to do is, you'll see that if I put my playhead in between scenes, pheasants, it's just kind of a... I gave Danny and what I want to do there is add a transition, and I think a push transition would be good, as if it's like a new card. That's what I like about it. I'm going to go to push and then go to apply to all scenes. And now all of them have a push transition. Let's have a watch. To poach pheasants. You see? I gave Danny a 9 for brave. And then again here. Boy his age. Nice. I like that. I think that works really well. Last but not least, I hope you all know where I'm going last but not least. And it's to add content, media, music. And then you can search any of these categories, but there's only one thing that you have to make sure that you're sorting out. You see down here, my playhead is at 26 seconds, but the whole video is 56 seconds. So whichever piece of music I choose, it must be more than 58 seconds. Let's, what kind of thing? That's a bit much. Uplifting, hip hop, trap. Nothing coming there. Nothing coming there either. Let's go for, I mean, actually, sometimes just go into the background section is a good one. Lo-fi. Yeah, lo-fi. Slow and steady. This is... That'll do. I'll go for smooth corporate backing. Love that. Right, I think here you want to check. I made a top jump about Danny, the champion of the world. Too loud. So I'm going to bring it down to about 15%. There we go. I'm going to fade it out. It fades in itself at the start, so I'm going to make sure it fades out. And then let's just listen to it, see what the balance is like. I made a top jump about Danny, the champion of the world. Danny's a young English boy and his father, William, and they live in a traditional caravan. They fix cars for a living in their mechanic shop and love to poach pheasants. Nice. I gave Danny a 9 for bravery because throughout the... Sweet, that'll do. That's perfect. Really happy with that. Now, of course, when you're done, you can download it by clicking the download button there. Video resolution 720. You don't need to be any higher than that. And you can click download there. Otherwise, you can click share and create a view-only link. Give that a click. And what you'll see here is that you've got your infographic and you've got your video on there. So you've got all of your work in that link, which is great. You can share that with teachers, whole school community, parents, whoever you want to share it with. And you can just click create link and Bob's your uncle. All done and dusted. Okay. That, as they say, is that. There we go. Perfect. Right. I mean, that was quite quick, wasn't it? I kind of like doing those ones where you make something first and then you use that in order to make something like a video. I think it's a nice thing, nice transition rather than having to start something completely new from scratch. But anyway, that's one way to celebrate World Book Day. And what I would recommend, if possible, actually teach you really nicely, is if you print those out you can always print them out small. You can get like 4 onto a page. That's absolutely fine. And then you work in teams, and then you can play each other in top trumps, maybe on the playground, in the classroom, wherever your teacher says is a good place to do it. I used to love doing that with kids, where they would make their own top trumps and then battle with each other. There you go. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for coming to another live lesson. Please book your next one, adobe.ly/live lessons. It's up there. Do make sure that you're registered if you want a certificate for this session as well. Otherwise, happy World Book Day. Thank you very much, and see you soon.